There's nobody in control of me. Like, I do what I want to do. So I'm deciding to f your life up.
Like I'm trying to hinder his career. About your career. You think I actually think about you? You know how many rappers that are better than you? You're not even in the conversation.
This is about Shook. He liked the cigar and he trying to see what you gonna do. So Eminem, 50, everybody outside. This is when I knew Eminem was real. He's like, I don't give a f, man. This is when I knew, I'm like, damn, Eminem is a real 50 outside.
Besides being mentor and protege, Eminem and 50 Cent are like brothers for life. They don't just make music together, they stand by each other no matter what. Whether it's award shows, public feuds, or shady interviews, whenever one is attacked, the other is always ready to step in and defend.
Stirred up, but Afrojack has been talking shit about you. Anything you want to say? Who? Afrojack? Who? That's what I thought.
It's deeper than rap with them, and when it comes to drama, they thrive on it. These two have clashed with half the rap game and never lost sleep over it. Whether it's old school enemies like Ya Rule or former friends turned rivals like the Game, both 50 and M have proven they're not the type to turn the other cheek. If you diss them, just know it's war. Now, let's get into one of their latest shots, this time aimed straight at the Game. Back in August 2023, Eminem and Azil teamed up for a scorching collab called Realist. Even though it was Azil's breakout moment, M stole the spotlight with a savage verse that had people talking for weeks. Eminem came in swinging, dropping lines like, "All the envious rappers I torch if I'm on a joint with them, and their only retort is I'm not played in the clubs, put a cork in it. The only reason they still play your stuff in the clubs is cause you're still performing it." There was no sugarcoating. Eminem was taking direct shots at the Game for claiming his music doesn't get played in clubs.
How's your relationship with M now? Do y'all talk much?
No.
Why?
Because he looked like a gay painter.
What are we talking about here?
We're talking about Eminem. He looked like a gay painter.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's not rocket science, bro. It's just, he looked like a white Basquiat. He just wants to look like a gay painter. And it's not okay.
Game laid it all out in his 10-minute diss track, The Black Slim Shady. But this feud didn't start with Eminem, it went way back to 50 Cent and G-Unit. Before all the drama, Game was just a hungry rapper trying to make it, until Dr. Dre saw his raw talent and knew he had something special. Dre wasted no time and placed Game straight into G-Unit, 50 Cent's powerhouse crew. The plan was simple: use 50's influence to boost Game's career. On paper, it looked brilliant, but behind the scenes, not everyone was happy. Some believed it was a power move to launch Game into the spotlight, while others thought Dre was just trying to cash in on 50's heat at the time. Either way, Game suddenly found himself rolling with two giants, 50 Cent and Eminem, and that cosign alone gave him instant credibility. When his debut album The Documentary dropped, it was game over. Critics praised it, fans went wild, and it shot up the charts. Tracks like How We Do and Hate It or Love It blew up fast, putting Game on the map with his gritty bars. And West Coast storytelling, he wasn't just a feature, he was the real deal. But success always brings pressure, and as the documentary climbed, the vibe between 50 and Game began to shift. Things started falling apart during the shoot for Hate It or Love It, when word got out that 50 Cent refused to sit next to Game in the car scene. Sounds petty, right? But in rap, small moves speak volumes. That single act had people whispering was G-Unit already cracking from the inside. No one knew exactly why 50 acted that way, but the message was clear: something was off. And while the video looked polished and got plenty of love, the behind-the-scenes energy was messy. Then came the explosion during a heated radio interview. 50 didn't hold back. He publicly announced that Game was out of G-Unit just like that. No heads up, no private talk. He aired it out for the world to hear. Game wasn't about to let that slide, and not long after, he showed up at the same radio station building where all hell broke loose. A scuffle broke out, and in the chaos, shots were fired. It got that serious. The incident shook the entire industry. And suddenly, it wasn't just a war of words anymore, it was real. Both camps tried to save face, brushing it off like it wasn't that deep, but the streets were watching and the damage was done. By March 2005, the two tried to patch things up in public, with cameras rolling as 50 and Game stood side by side talking about ending the beef, but that so-called peace treaty didn't last long. Once Game officially broke away from G-Unit, the crew wasted no time throwing shade, questioning his street credibility and loyalty, acting like he was never really part of the team. That hit a nerve and Game wasn't about to let it go. He fired back straight from the studio with no hesitation, dropping the ruthless diss track 300 bars and runnin'. It wasn't just a diss, it was an all-out lyrical assault. He called out names, threw jabs, and kept it going for 15 minutes straight. That track set off a chain reaction that turned into a full-blown war between him and 50 Cent. Suddenly, it wasn't just personal beef, it was a full-scale rap battle with the entire industry watching like it was pay-per-view. Fans picked sides, blogs went wild, and diss tracks were dropping left and right. Both rappers kept unloading song after song, each one aimed at humiliating the other. In 2006, Game shocked everyone by trying to squash the drama, reaching out to 50 and saying he wanted to bury the hatchet, but 50 stayed silent, showing no interest in making peace. By then, the feud had taken on a life of its own. Over 100 diss tracks had been recorded, no exaggeration. Every few months, one of them would reignite the fire, keeping the beef alive like it was a full-time job. In 2010, Game tried again, this time going public on Twitter to ask 50 to end the feud once and for all, but once again there was nothing, just silence. Still, Game didn't give up. Even in 2012, he went as far as launching a petition for a G-Unit reunion, saying he wanted to fix what was broken and bring the crew back together, but his push for peace went nowhere. G-Unit made it loud and clear they were done with him. In 2016, the group reunited at the legendary Summer Jam concert, and guess who wasn't invited? Game was left completely out, watching from the sidelines as the crew moved on without him. That moment sealed the message, there was no going back. Then in 2022, the drama flared up again when 50 Cent saw a photo of Game with Lloyd Banks and didn't hold back, publicly questioning the motive behind the pic and basically calling it fake love. Was Game trying to stir things up again or just playing peace for clout? Game played it cool, going public to say the beef was over, no more grudges, no more drama. At least on his side, Dan claimed he had zero issues with 50, but just as things started cooling down with one beef, another lit up like wildfire. This time, Game came straight at Eminem. In the 10-minute diss track The Black Slim Shady, he didn't hold back at all. He didn't just diss M, he went after 50 Cent, Dr. Dre, and even took aim at Eminem's daughter. The track was ruthless, tearing into M's career, personal life, and everything in between, with some fans hyped and calling it a bold lyrical masterstroke. They loved that Game had the guts to go after one of rap's untouchables, but others didn't feel the same way. Some thought it seemed desperate, like Game was just chasing headlines. The release sparked a full-blown war in the hip-hop world, dividing fans deeply. Debates broke out everywhere, Twitter, Reddit, Instagram, and that diss track definitely shook things up. But it also made people ask, what was Game really trying to prove? Why come for Eminem out of nowhere? It wasn't random. There were deeper reasons behind that move, one of the biggest being his absence from the Super Bowl 56 halftime show. On February 13, 2022, the world watched Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and Eminem light up the stage in one of the most talked about halftime shows ever. But fans immediately noticed Game was nowhere to be seen. For someone who came up under Dr. Dre and helped shape the West Coast's modern sound, that snub cut deep. Game didn't stay quiet, he jumped on social media, reposting stories and comments that openly questioned why he wasn't part of the last celebration. To him, it felt personal. After all, he'd been representing the West since day one, so why was he left out? During an episode of the I Am Athlete podcast, Game opened up and admitted the Super Bowl snub hit him hard. He felt pushed aside despite everything he'd done for the culture, and he blamed it on one thing: his image. Game said people saw him as unsafe for live TV to Raw, too unpredictable and in his eyes. That's why he got blackballed from that iconic moment.
The reason I wasn't on the Super Bowl is because I'm not a safe artist. So it's just like, he not safe, so they went with the safe.
That bitterness built up and likely fueled Game's decision to go after Eminem in the Black Slim Shady. Game felt the industry was brushing off his realness, choosing safe artists over someone raw and unfiltered like him, and he wasn't about to stay quiet. In March 2022, he appeared on Drink Champs with an NDJF, and that's when things really blew up. He took shots at both Dr. Dre and Eminem in one sitting. First, he claimed Kanye West had done more for his career recently than Dre ever did, which raised a lot of eyebrows. But he wasn't finished. Game went full throttle, saying flat out that he was better than Eminem. He didn't just call out Slim Shady by name. He said he'd battle him face to face anytime, anywhere, even on Versus. He wasn't just throwing jabs, he was throwing down the gauntlet, daring Eminem to step into the ring. Naturally, social media exploded, with fans slamming Game for his bold claims. But instead of backing down, Game went even harder. In an Instagram video right after the interview, he doubled down, saying, "Yeah, people might disagree, but in my mind, I'm the better rapper, period." He even opened the door for a rap battle or a collab to finally settle it, wanting the world to stop guessing and start witnessing. So now the question is, will this long, messy drama with 50 Cent and Eminem ever really end, or is it just waiting for the next round? And just when things couldn't get messier, here comes Nick Cannon. Back in the late 2000s, rumors flew around the music world about a possible relationship between Eminem and pop queen Mariah Carey. At first, Mariah denied the dating rumors, insisting there was nothing between her and Eminem. But Eminem wasn't about to let it go. On his Relapse album, he dropped a bombshell track called Bagpipes from Baghdad that lit up the internet. In this song, Eminem didn't just hint at a past fling with Mariah, he came out swinging with wild lyrics that left no doubt. He rapped, "Mariah, whatever happened to us? Why did we have to break up?" Then went straight for Nick Cannon with the line, "Nick Cannon better back the bleep up. I'm not playing, I want her back, you punk." Eminem rapped, and that wasn't the end. He doubled down, saying, "Nick, you had your fun. I'm here to kick you in your sack of junk." Yeah, he really said that. Nick Cannon wasn't about to stay quiet after that and fired back hard in a Tumblr post. Yes, Tumblr was still popular then, though that post has since been deleted. Nick wrote, "I don't know why no one has stood up to you yet, but I guess it's going to take a corny, whack rapping boy toy from Nickelodeon to set you straight. Trust me, you're my new full-time job, homie." This whole situation spiraled fast. Just when things couldn't get any wilder, Mariah Carey jumped in. Without ever naming Eminem directly, she dropped her hit Obsessed, which had everyone talking, and in the music video, a shady lookalike of Eminem stalks her around. Mariah didn't just drop a diss, she became the diss. In the video, she dressed as a stalker version of Eminem, hoodie and all, practically daring him to respond. It was pure shade and kept their feud alive. Things cooled down publicly for a while, but in September 2019, the beef heated up again when Nick Cannon appeared on T.I.'s podcast Expeditiously. He told a story from years ago when he and Eminem were flying on a jet from Africa or somewhere, and Eminem dropped a track trashing Mariah. Nick said he felt the need to protect his wife, so he wrote Eminem a long, respectful letter saying he appreciated him as an artist but called him out for disrespecting Mariah. Most people saw it as a mature, calm, grown-up move, but Eminem didn't take it that way, he took it as a challenge. So Eminem returned with more bars, this time on Fat Joe's track Lord Above, and didn't hold back. He rapped, "I know me and Mariah didn't end on a high note, but that other dude's whip that guy got him neutered. Tried to tell him this chick's a nut job before he got his jewels clipped. Almost got my caboose kicked. Fool, quit. You're not gonna do anything. I let her chop my bleep off to before I lose to you, Nick. That verse hit hard. Nick wasn't about to stay quiet. He fired back on Instagram with playful jabs like, Fat Joe's album is star-studding. He even did some charity work, and joked about digging Eminem out of his grave, cave, and then amped it up more by inviting Eminem to come on Wild and Out. Nick wasn't done talking. He took it to the booth and dropped his own diss track, The Invitation, going all in with no filters and no holding back. He even crossed a major line, spitting, call Kim, somebody get Haley, and that other kid you're raising, that ain't. Even your baby, my baby mama killed you off a decade ago. You're still crying about it now? Who's really? It was personal, brutal, and clearly meant to hurt. Nick Cannon dragged up family, old wounds, and threw it all into one track. The internet exploded and fans were divided. Some gave Nick Cannon credit for defending his wife and standing up to one of the most ruthless rappers in the game, respecting that he didn't back down, even though going against Eminem meant facing a tidal wave of backlash. To them, it was about standing on principle and protecting his family. But not everyone agreed. Many felt Nick was reaching, dragging out an old feud that should have been buried years ago, and that it seemed forced, like he was chasing relevance more than revenge. Meanwhile, the media had a field day, with every blog, tabloid, and entertainment site covering the beef. Many fans were ready for the drama to end, calling for Eminem and Nick Cannon to finally let it go and just focus on the music. After years of back and forth, sneak disses, and headline-grabbing shots, people hoped for peace, maybe even a mutual nod of respect. But by then, the feud had taken on a life of its own.
Mariah thing, yeah, that's true. Those rumors are true, and I'm not gonna deny them.
So did you date him?
No. Can I just clarify that I did not have a physical relationship with him? I did not have an intimate relationship. I've been with less men than I can, than on one hand. So he's not one of those.
It wasn't just about diss tracks anymore, it became a battle over legacy. Both Eminem and Nick Cannon kept throwing shade, either through lyrics or cryptic jabs on social media. Nick even sampled some of Eminem's old controversial material to stir up heat and question his past in the public eye. The war had spilled outside the studio. It wasn't just about bars anymore, but about image, clout, and controlling the narrative. Every jab felt personal, and fans couldn't look away. Lately, things seem to have cooled off publicly. The flood of disses and interviews has died down. Eminem, 50 Cent, and Nick Cannon have shifted their focus to business and new projects rather than beef. Still, not everyone is convinced it's truly over. Industry insiders and die-hard fans speculate that the tension is just hiding beneath the surface. No diss tracks or public shots, but the energy remains. With such a history of brutal disses and personal attacks, it's hard to believe the feud is fully dead. Even in quiet times, fans analyze every lyric, post, and interview, side-dive for hidden shots or subliminal messages. The curiosity goes beyond just Eminem and Nick. People wonder if there's more behind the scenes. Is this long-standing beef about old feelings and bruised egos, or is it about staying in the spotlight, keeping names trending, streams high, and headlines buzzing? Only time will tell if this feud is really over or just sleeping. Back in 2005, Nick Cannon met Mariah Carey at the Teen Choice Awards, and by 2008, they were married around the same time Eminem dropped that first diss track. At that stage, Nick and Mariah were early in their relationship, explaining why Nick defended her so fiercely. Even after their marriage ended in 2016, after 8 years, Nick's loyalty never faded. He's continued defending Mariah whenever her name comes up in drama, and they've stayed on good terms for the sake of their twins, Moroccan and Monroe. Nick didn't stop there. He also pulled 50 Cent into the chaos. On his podcast, Nick joked about 50's weight, saying the rapper had gained a lot, calling him fat and looking like he's got a pack of hot dogs in the back of his neck. The internet ran with it, and while 50 seemed unbothered at First, he clapped back in classic style through Instagram, posting a slick message about trusting God and how success isn't luck. But in the caption, he took a clear shot at Nick, writing, "If your marketing campaign is saying something about 50, you're not going to make it. Have a nice day." This wasn't the first time 50 Cent went after Nick Cannon, not even close. Back in 2020, during an interview on The Breakfast Club, 50 gave his honest take on the Nick versus Eminem drama. He said straight up that Eminem loves battle rap and actually enjoys being challenged. So when Nick started firing shots, Eminem wasn't shaken, he was in his element. But then the conversation took a wild turn when they brought up Nick's track, "Used to Look Up to You," and 50 cleared things up. That song wasn't aimed at Eminem, it was aimed at him. And 50 was clearly not impressed, calling Nick's rap game weak and flat out saying he's been corny from the start. The hosts laughed, not really understanding why Nick was so set on beefing with real rappers. 50 summed it up in the most savage way: "You suck, bro." Even outside of rap, 50 has been throwing shade. In a recent interview with Forbes' Brian J. Roberts, 50 talked about buying a huge house and jokingly regretting it because maybe only Nick Cannon, with his 12 kids, would need that much space. He said something like, "As smaller homes, enough for me, but Nick Cannon and all those kids, yeah, maybe he'd like the big house in the end." Will these artists ever set their egos aside and call a truce? Or is this war just waiting to flare up again at the slightest trigger? That's the big question, and honestly, only time will tell if this long-standing beef ever really ends. Now, shifting gears, let's talk about another iconic rap feud, 50 Cent versus Ja Rule. This beef didn't just start, it exploded in the late 90s and shook the whole industry. It all began in 1999 when Ja Rule was robbed at gunpoint during a video shoot. According to the story, one of 50 Cent's affiliates allegedly snatched Ja Rule's chain during the incident, which lit a fuse.